I can't help myself. I wore this thing for a month straight. Don't have the suit on because it's just too hard to get on. It's a little tight.
It rides up in the crotch a little bit, too.
Look, I was gone last night watching Moonfall, where the moon fell. But there is an interview with Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland. And y'all, I am so excited for this. This is like the interview that everybody's been dreaming about. And I thought I'd keep it simple with this video. And I'm sure plenty of people are doing reaction videos, but why not do one myself? Watching this for the first time. Thank you guys for being here. If you like this video, drop your thumbs up down below. I'm going to take this off because we did it too many times in December. I can hear everybody like, Austin, put the mask back on. We don't want to see your face. I don't blame you. Hey, thanks for being here. If you like this video, be sure to drop your thumbs up down below. Plenty of reviews coming later on today, but right now, Spider-Man. Let's do it.
Hi there, I'm Pete Hammond, and happy to moderate this session. I am the only one you are looking at on the screen who has never played Spider-Man, and this is exciting. I think it's almost historic.
You guys can find this article on Deadline, by the way.
In the last
Pretty incredible.
20 years of this franchise, Tobey Maguire, who of course started it all with the first 3 Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Hi, Tobey!
Toby! Let's go!
The pioneer in this. And then, of course, Andrew Garfield, who carried it on in the next 2. Hey.
This is weird.
And
Cool,
now
weird,
Tom
but weird.
Holland, who's completed his first trilogy. We'll find out if there's more. With Tom Holland right here. Welcome, and wow. I have to say right off the bat, did any of you have any idea that this movie would have the impact that it's had around the globe, beyond all expectations, I think, even for Spider-Man? I mean, Tom, did you, having just
Come on, Tom. You knew, buddy. You knew.
Third one now?
I mean, I think I always knew that this film would be loved around the world. I didn't think it would be quite as massive as it has been. You know, one of my favorite things to do in a minute is to go online and watch fans' reactions to you guys coming in. That one scene in particular.
That's cool.
I don't think I could ever have imagined it being so well received by everyone. So no, I mean, I guess I had an idea that people would love this movie, but in no way, shape, or form could I have thought it was going to be as big as it has been. And it's been, only the last couple of weeks if I sort of really come back to reality and come home and started to face real world problems. And it feels like we've been on some sort of really weird dream. It feels really strange.
Imagine posting a video online of yourself and some fans doing a reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home. And then not only, Andrew and Tobey could be sitting next to you because we saw that report, but Tom Holland sitting there, late at night, bored, thinking, I'm going to go watch some reactions. Tom Holland actually seeing your reaction. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And I love how you see the smiles on their faces and you automatically know that they are aware of how big this movie was. I'm sure they'll talk about it. All right, let's get back into it.
It does in a way, but it's so exciting. I had the advantage of being at the very first press screening, so to me it was brand new, which is the way anybody should see a movie. And when Tobey and Andrew come in, that audience reaction was like nothing I've experienced in a long time, and especially now in the age of COVID, it's so great. This movie seems so needed to restore our faith in movies and the movie-going experience. Tobey and Andrew, I have to ask you, though, how did you get involved? I mean, when they came to you, I can't imagine, Tobey, they said, oh, we want you to do Spider-Man again. What was it?
I went and had a meeting with Amy and Kevin, Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige, and had talked about, they sort of just, teased it. I think Amy was like, we'd love to talk to you, and you know what this is about. And I was like, okay, sure. Let's have a chat. And
I think with Amy, you're like, no, I don't, Amy, no.
Yeah, no, I know. I was
like, what?
Maybe you could just give me a little bit of information. But I don't know. I got to say, I was intrigued.
Toby Goat.
Immediately.
He's the GOAT.
In that conversation, the intention, the kind of love and celebration of these movies and what it meant, I think, to Amy and Kevin was apparent. And to me, when artists or people who are steering the creative process have a kind of authentic, genuine intent of celebration and love. It just was so apparent in both of them that, I don't know, I just wanted to join that. And cool. I'm a big fan of Tom and those movies and Andrew, so it was definitely intriguing. But yes, I was also going, well, what are we going to do? And that was a bit mysterious. I did appreciate what was shared, but it was really about getting together with these people and revisiting, you know, what was part of my history and getting a chance to like come together. And there are personal things too, which are kind of resolutions or a way to revisit and I'm not quite sure how to put it. It's just to get back into that, and I don't want to say like close the chapter, but revisit and have certain resolutions, and just join in this like loving creative spirit.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful too, because obviously he was never able to make Spider-Man 4, and there's a little bit of probably with Tobey like I just want to make things right after some lackluster response to Spider-Man 3, even though there's great elements to that movie. So, and I love, man, there's just a smile. He has this smile. Tobey, you can tell Tobey is happy to be here, and you can usually tell when he's not. So I love the fact that he is here. No Bully Maguire to be found. This is great, man. And the chemistry already between the three, you can tell it's there.
Amazing. What about for you, Andrew? I thought, well, with Tick, Tick, Boom and with the eyes of Tammy
what
Faye,
a year for
we've
Andrew
seen a
last
lot
year.
of Andrew Garfield and
the fact that his performance in Spider-Man is
when I saw this movie, I
just
wasn't
as good.
expecting a third one on that, and amazing to see you back in this costume and this franchise.
Andrew's so good as this
So
character.
for you, what was it like going back?
Well, I was just waiting to see if Tobey was going to do it, and if Tobey was going to do it, and I was like, awesome. Well, I have no choice, you know. I follow Tobey to the ends of the earth. I'm a lemming for Tobey. Awesome. But that was sincerely a big part of it, you know.
Don't we all, Andrew? Don't we all?
And again, in a similar way to what Tobey was saying, it was like, oh, the intention feels very pure here. It actually feels like a great creative idea and a great creative story. It wasn't like they were just asking us to come and say hi and then leave again, but actually have our presence being in service to Tom, you know, being in service to Tom's journey and where he is as Peter Parker, and how I love the destiny feeling of the multiverse expanding in this film, and actually that without Tobey's Peter and Andrew's Peter being present for Tom's Peter at this very moment, he may not become the Peter Parker that he's supposed to becime. I love that there's
an origin.
That's what it
maybe
is. He would have lost his girlfriend, and that maybe he would have gone down a darker path if Tobey hadn't have given him that kind of mentorship moment, that better angel kind of moment. So it was those things. I get chills thinking about it even now. So for me it was like, and it's the same kind of judgment call with any script or any film. It's like, is this a story worth telling, and do I want to work with these people? And it was a big double kind of capitalized yes, and then it exceeded my expectations, because the way that Tom and Zendaya and Jacob are as a trio is just like a kind of magical heaven kind of friendship, and then so welcoming of me and Tobey into the gang. And then the way that Tom works with John Watts and Kevin and Amy, it's like, it's very open, it's very free. And so Tobey and I felt not only welcomed, but actually given lots of permission to play and to kind of find our way into being of service to Tom's story in this way. And it was just a kind of joyful few weeks that we all got to spend together, which it could have been an absolute, not like you kind of think, well, getting 3 Spider-Men together could go one of two ways. And I think it's a testament to these guys that it went the way that it went, which was a brotherhood, which is just beautiful.
I have to say, Tobey.
Okay, there's a brotherhood between Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland. This is just, it's everything you want it to be, but you never know. With actors, sometimes you don't get along. Sometimes there's a little bit of, especially the fact that, well, I used to play Spider-Man. I am playing Spider-Man. Which one of us is better? And that's been the constant debate between fans, but seeing everybody share the screen like this and act like they love you, like genuinely love each other, who cares? Who cares who the best one is? You can have your favorite. At the end of the day, they've been able to prove that they are incredible as the character in their own way. And the fact that Andrew can kind of see that, and, from what he said, they probably would not have done it, or at least been as excited about it, if it would have been just a cameo. The fact that they played a role in his story, in his, what I see as like an origin story for Spider-Man, that to me is why they signed on. And that's the coolest thing ever. So Andrew obviously coming on board for that is just great. It really is.
Just read this morning Sam Raimi just praising this reunion of all three of you, are the putting you all on the screen
Raimi is
together,
apparently a
and
big
what
fan
it
of the
was
movie and
in
loved
this film.
Tobey in the
he
movie, which is
loved
super
it,
cool.
Which is high praise coming from the original director here, I think.
How sweet. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, just came out this morning. Someone asked him, one of the trade papers,
Tobey.
and he just had high praise. Tom, for you working with them, I'm wondering, did you have
working
any
with
kind
Sam
of
Raimi again,
rehearsal time
Toby?
to get
Huh?
used to this
On Doctor
idea, or
Strange?
did you just jump in and you're all in your Spider-Man motif here?
Yeah, it was daunting. It was very daunting because we were a long way into shooting before you guys showed up. We were maybe 3 months into principal photography.
Did we know that?
The date of the other Spider-Mans
3 months in,
that's
that's almost the entirety of photography. So that's interesting. Showed up kind of at the end.
The closer and closer I got, the more and more nervous I was. And then as soon as I met you guys in Atlanta, I realized I had nothing to be nervous about. But at our first rehearsal, I had asked Jacob and Zendaya to come with me, to just kind of be there as like my support system. Like, I'm going to go meet these guys. I'm really nervous about it. We have to read the scene and I don't know how this is going to go because we're all playing the same character and we all have to bring our own kind of
that is
heart and soul
nerve-wracking.
into
And you're
this,
comparing
and,
yourself to the other two Spider-Men as well.
To me, does it mean the same? So Jacob and Zendaya were there on that first day, but I think it was really
Moral
strange
support.
and almost a little unfair how they had us put the suits on and then just jump around in front of the camera together. Like, that was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. And again, Jacob and Zendaya were there for that to support me. But it was an amazing experience. And from day one, it was a roller coaster that I didn't want to get off. And it was a lot of fun. And like you said, Andrew, like, it was so collaborative. It was so playful. From you cracking Toby's back to you coming up with the idea of pointing at us. Like,
yeah, that was Andrew's idea, the pointing meme.
And it was just a lot of fun to be able to play with three
which is
guys
brilliant.
in Spider-Man.
So I'd say there's a lot of improv.
It was a strange experience, but one that I won't ever forget.
Yeah, and how did you
that
guys
is so
keep
cool.
this a secret?
Oh, that's so cool.
Well? I know there's all that pressure on you, but I mean, it really was a well-kept secret, and that's a hard thing to do in the age of social media.
You had
and
your
the
leaks. All right.
Speculation. And did they threaten you with anything?
And it was very evident that they were real.
You got the worst of it though, Andrew. Because you were doing press for months.
It was evident that the leaks were real, and I mean, I already knew. I had some inside. I'm a guy that lives in Kentucky. I don't seem like a guy that has any insider knowledge, but I did have insider knowledge that they were in the film. But even me seeing those leaks that spelled out everything that I had heard, I'm still hesitant. I'm like, is this? I know it's real. I know it's coming, but is it real? And I think that's what a lot of people's mentalities were, is even though they saw the leaks, there was still that hesitation and the constant denial from someone like Andrew Garfield that now, looking back, I think that's brilliant. I'm so glad he did that. A lot of people are like, oh, he lied. He's morally corrupt. But he's explained it before, like, you want to keep that surprise and hold that surprise. And I'm glad he did, because there's still that little hesitation. And once we saw that, we were super. I'm sure Andrew will talk about it, but it's still like.
Yeah, like.
Out there, man. I'm out there.
There he is.
And everyone's like, why is Andrew Garfield on a press tour just denying Spider-Man? Like, these other two films. I'm like, dudes, like.
Poor Andrew. I feel so bad for him.
So, yeah, no, I definitely think I had the hardest time.
You had the worst part of it, yeah.
Thrust into the world just, like, coincided with having to lie.
It was.
Having to lie for the sake of that audience reaction, I think. So, and I know.
Bingo.
I equate it to, like, when you're organizing a surprise birthday party
I've heard him say
someone that you love, and they keep saying, mate, just tell me I hate surprises. You know I hate surprises, but deep down you know they will love the surprise.
Yeah.
I justified my ethical kind of like unethical lying behavior. I call it fibbing more than lying.
And people are getting mad at him for this. I'm like, come on,
I kind of enjoyed it. It was quite fun.
I'm getting mad at everything.
It felt like a game of that game Werewolf or Mafia, where you know you're the werewolf and you have to convince everyone that you're not. So I kind of turned it into a little bit of a game
just for being the werewolf.
I don't know, and it did result in this kind of like, even though there were all these leaks and all this stuff happening, I think like there was enough doubt in everyone's mind, going, oh God, what if it isn't? What if it isn't? What if they don't show up? And then, so when we did, it kind of gave them that little bit of icing on top of an already incredibly deep. Like, I watched the movie with Toby for the first time, and I was in pieces. Like, this is a deep movie. This isn't just fan service, which, you know, it partially is, but like, this is a movie that is about a coming of age, like an acceptance of loss, acceptance of death.
True.
Taking responsibility for your gifts, and
but Spider-Man is
I was torn open by the journey that Tom went on, and that he was having to. It was just like having to split with his girlfriend and his best friend, and sacrifice that in order. It's classic Peter Parker, but it felt totally fresh and totally reimagined. Like, his origin, like Tom's origin story, was happening in his third movie rather than his first. Like, there's something so profound. So the film, I feel, stands alone without me and Toby showing up. I hope we enhance it, but like, I think John and Tom have made just something actually that is exceptionally moving, especially for young people. You know, I think it's a beautiful film.
Beautiful, Andrew.
Yeah, Tom, it
is that little heartfelt. You can tell he loves this character.
Those close-ups of you know,
even if it's not him,
Ant-Man,
he loves the character.
And then beyond, and the whole coda. You know, if you haven't seen the movie, hold your ears, because that ending is really touching, and it's unlike what we've seen.
Man, I love seeing Andrew's passion. I'd say out of the three, he's displayed his passion the most, which I love to see. He's a very emotional guy.
Yeah, I mean,
which I appreciate.
I
missed the question. What was it?
There definitely was a sense for me as an actor that this was the last time that I could potentially don the suit. So a lot of that emotion came from the actor saying goodbye, which is one of the biggest themes throughout this film. So, you know, thankfully, I was really able to draw on my own experience and my own feelings.
He's just trying to conjure that. He's coming back.
But this film also felt like a huge celebration. You know, this movie really is a celebration of 3 generations of cinema. So at times we would be getting into these scenes that were incredibly emotional, that, you know, they're very taxing. And I was so happy to be there that I had to go at it a different way and kind of go, wow, look at my life. Look what's happened to me. I'm working with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and we're telling this story. And I would get emotional at kind of how proud I was of the situation that we were in, and that what we were doing, and that I really believed in what we were doing. So yeah, it was tough, but you know, anything hard is worthwhile. And you know, I was happy to kind of really push myself and to make this film, you know, more emotional than superhero films have been in the past. But yeah, so a lot of it was I was drawing on my own kind of feelings as we went along.
Yeah, Toby, this feels like.
I mean, look, you know, Tom is clearly at an age to where he could keep going with this character forever, and I don't know if he will, but I see this as an origin, like I said, as an origin story for the character, just going about it in a different way, taking 3 movies. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more, at least another 2 to 3 movies with his character, because now he is kind of the Spider-Man that we knew he could be eventually. So I think he's coming back. I know, I understand where he is emotionally. I don't know, but I understand where he is emotionally. But at the same time, there's just going to be this cool down period, then this warm back up, and now you can come back and show us who this version of Spider-Man truly is, now that he's had his origin story.
A culmination. In fact, I did a little interview with Amy Pascal, and she described it that way. She said this movie is a culmination of 20 years. What began with you and your 3, and now going
so many people's
here.
Childhoods. It dates further back than the MCU.
When you looked at this, that this is
that's crazy.
Like the end of one thing, maybe the beginning of another somehow, but the end here of what you started.
Well, I'll say I remember being on set. And it was, I believe, our last day, Andrew.
Every time he talks, I'm just like,
it was
the goat.
it was really amazing. And I had the awareness of this, you know, the 20 years of history, but looking at Amy and Kevin and realizing that they've been there through all the different iterations, and it was really
being
powerful.
a fly on the wall.
It was really powerful. It was powerful for me
in that meeting with Kevin and the three Spider-Man,
and Tom, and powerful in a legitimately moving, emotional way. And then to witness Amy and Kevin and consider their journeys through all the films, it was really impactful. And yeah, I was just grateful every day. It was such a rich experience. And as the guys have touched on, the kind of sharing of something and the brotherhood of it, it was just so rich, emotional. And I don't know, I'm not like sitting there conceptually thinking about that all the time, but I would have moments where that kind of stuff would hit me. You know, day to day, it was just a beautiful kind of unfolding of this story and these relationships. So I was more just like in that on the day to day, but I'd have these like reflection moments, which were quite powerful and elegantly woven ultimately, because it's actually, you're thinking about taking 20 years of history and revisiting that, and how do you balance all of these things. And each of our kind of series of films have, you know, the
different
characters
styles,
are
different tones.
We're playing the same character, but they're also unique, and the way those films and characters evolved in those films are unique. And then to bring all of that together, including you know, all of our super villains and all of that,
we've not even talked about.
Pretty wild to witness the immensity of all of this history coming together and being put into what Andrew is saying is this, you know, standalone worthwhile story.
It really is.
And I too just wanted to say with the coda of the movie, I was really touched emotionally, but also I just thought it had such a sweet elegance to it. Like, that was so amazing. And I agree in terms of the origin story and the kind of coming of age, or you know, Tom, your character stepping into this different kind of maturity and responsibility.
I'm telling you, everybody
and
agrees.
all done with this like really sweet, sad,
it is.
elegant touch. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
agreed.
It's a remarkable movie, the way they did this. I got a big shout out here to John Watts, who I had seen.
Pete's doing a great job, by the way. Shout out to Pete.
The first time I talked to you, Tom, it was with John, and when you had done the first Spider-Man, and all I could do is talk about this little movie Cop Car that he did and think, wow, this guy's going somewhere. What was it like working with John on this film for you guys?
Very impressed with John Watts. With No Way Home.
Toby
Very
had
impressed.
not before. Obviously, Tom had. What was that experience like?
It's so funny because what Toby just said about the kind of, in those moments of awareness where you realize that we were bringing in 20 years of history and then some into a frame every day.
Yeah. That
hugeness that I know that we only got a sense of in moments. And I remember maybe the first time I got a sense of it where I think we were on a scaffolding and like we were talking to Doctor Strange, who wasn't actually there, and Tom turned to us and said, there's something that doesn't feel quite right about this. It feels a bit awkward, or like we just kind of stood here and both me and Toby were like, yeah, this feels a little weird. We feel a little odd. And then in that moment, John Watts comes up the scaffolding, goes, that's the movie. That's it. We got it. It's the part of the film. This is the moment. And we're all like, we're insane then. We weren't seeing what he was seeing, which he then just showed us. And it was just the three of us in our suits in the same frame.
Yeah.
And just how profoundly moving that is unto itself.
Just that.
For Spider-Man fans the world over. And I think it was at that point where I was like, oh no, people are gonna like this movie a lot. you know, like, or this element of things. But in regards to the bigness that Toby was talking about, it also mostly just felt very small. Like we were making Cop Car, like we were just doing an independent Spider-Man film. And
it's
that's
fascinating
what
because
the tone of these films that Tom and John have created together feel like a Michael J. Fox, John Hughes, indie kind of.
Good that he sees that.
small details,
especially
awkward,
the first two films. Not as much
beautiful
this
humor,
one, still.
proper, deep, intimate love stuff with huge scope, but like at the essence of it is just pure heart, and that's what it felt like with John. It felt like I was just so overwhelmed by how unperturbed he was by what he was trying to achieve. Like, it was so big objectively, but his calmness, his ability to allow actors to improvise, to play, and then for him to throw out wild ideas in the mix, to let takes run and run and run.
And you can tell too.
To give us time to really find what we were doing, and to go down the wrong path to then find towards the new path, the right path. I was just incredibly impressed and actually just really grateful for the experience with John. He's someone that he's a real actor's director, and that is especially
he doesn't
hard
get the love he deserves,
to feel in the midst of the machinery of a film that does have this scope. And I know that Tom will be able to talk to that even better than me.
Yeah, Tom, that's quite a collaboration you've had for the last 3 films with him, and he's done.
He deserves more respect.
Really interesting job with this.
Not the most distinct visionary style, like
John
visual
and I
style,
spoke
but
yesterday for the first time.
he handles his actors and his
released.
cast so.
And I think it took us so long because we needed time to just kind of let the dust settle. And then we spoke yesterday, and the first kind of 10 minutes of our conversation was kind of like we're both kind of in disbelief of what's happened and what we've achieved. You know, I'm talking to him like, I remember meeting you for the first time in my trailer.
It's made so much money.
18 years old, and you had never directed a movie like this before, and both of us hadn't a fucking clue what we were doing. We were both like, I was petrified, he was petrified, and then on this movie, we were able to put our best foot forward, go there day one, and feel confident in our capabilities. And it's just been one of those relationships that I've had that I will cherish forever. You know, John and I have no boundaries with each other. You know, we have no fear in telling each other how it is and being honest. And I think when you make these kind of movies, it's very important to make sure that you don't lose the heart and soul of
the more I hear about John
in the first place. And I think John Watts was the perfect person to kind of.
The less concerned I am about Fantastic Four.
But for me as an actor, he's like a gold mine. He will let you do whatever you want until you've gone too far, and then he'll reel you back in, and he'll always set you on the right track.
You see the smiles from the other two. They're like, really we know.
He's incredibly creative. You know, he never sacrifices quality for quantity. You know, like he is the kind of person that will shut a scene down and say, we're done for the day. We're going to pick this up tomorrow.
Wow.
Because it's not reaching my expectations. And that's happened a few times on this film and in the previous 2
I love
films.
that.
So I've always really appreciated his bravery to say to the studio, I'm finished for the day. I'm not shooting this scene until we come up with something better. I think that's an incredible quality and something I know I couldn't have done. I would have been like, we'll shoot 4 hours over until we figure it out. Don't tell me what to do. So I've always been a huge fan of John's, and he's a great friend. And I'm so glad that you guys had just as an amazing experience with him as I have.
I have to ask you, Toby.
Before we go, even myself, I've always looked at John Watts as a director that doesn't just do what he's told, but he doesn't have the most distinct voice. But after No Way Home, and now that I'm hearing all of this about him, Watts is a big part of the reason why this worked, because he handled the story and the cast and the actors so well. So he deserves kudos for everything he did. And I'm looking at him now like really excited to see what he's going to do next, which may be Fantastic Four.
I'm sure people are wondering, so what was it like? These costumes, the costume designs, it's, iconic. What was it like getting back into that suit?
Toby.
Well, once you get through the process of, really peeling it onto your body, it was, I don't know, a lot of things. It was uncomfortable getting it on, and then it's a goof, and then it also has a sort of
goof. That's how I feel when I put mine on.
I guess
like a goof.
A sort of a power in a sense, because it brings me back into that character. It really does. There's so much affinity for this character. It means so much to so many people that, once the sort of goofiness of being in lycra or spandex, once that goes away, you're like, oh wow, this is cool. This is that sort of a responsibility, but a blessing, like something that I get to do that I'm grateful for. And so that was fun. But honestly, like being with these guys, it really was just a much, much richer experience than I anticipated, or that I could really even express in words. I know that's not the question about the suit, but the suit is.
You can tell he's been holding all of this
to be there with these guys in their suits
for so long.
Whether it was like dancing around or playing around in scenes and improvising, or feeling that kind of sense of service to each other, and the character being in service to humanity.
Yeah.
It really gives a certain perspective, and then the kind of trust and openness that I had with these guys and John and Amy and everyone, it just brought this really
joy.
Open, I don't know, I just felt super safe, and like we were all on the same team and all in support of each other. And it just brought out this I don't know how to put it other than just like this really loving, fun, creative experience that I was just like sitting in gratitude every day, which is not always the case when you're working on something, even just from the standpoint of like trying to figure out what you're doing, and it wasn't without its challenges, but it all just unfolded the way it needed to, or whatever. It had a sense of this kind of destiny to it as well. So I guess the suit was the doorway to that.
Oh, that's a good answer, Tom.
I have
good
to
answer.
mention
The
the
suit was the doorway
experience here, which has been threatened, and people say, oh, it's the beginning of the end, and everybody's going to sit on their couch and watch movies at home and things. And this movie is almost single-handedly being credited for proving that is not true.
He's right.
That movies exist in movie theaters.
Even people that want to deny it. He's right.
By their filmmakers to be seen. And this is the perfect example of a movie that if you can in any way see it with an audience, the collective experience of watching this movie is, again, it's like unlike anything I've seen in a long time, that kind of feeling you get.
Agreed.
And it's got to be preserved. And so all three of you are here, part of the reason why movies are going to go on, to give me hope.
Wow. That's big.
For this, Tom, you in particular, you might go on and do more Spider-Man. I'm going to try to
here we go.
Here.
Come on, Tom.
What's going to happen?
Confirmation. Here's the scoop.
The truth is, the truthful answer, and I've done a whole press tour where all I do is lie. Yeah. The truth is, you're not going to like the truth. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't know the answer to that question. This film, for me, was as special as an experience could ever be.
That is awesome.
Sharing the screen with these guys. Playing Spider-Man can be quite an alienating experience because, we're, the three blokes, we're the only three blokes who have done it. So to share that with you two, and for it to have been such a wonderful experience, of which I have such amazing memories.
My heart.
I don't know, there's part of me that feels like it's the perfect time to jump off the building and swing off into the sunset. And
don't jump off,
let
Tom.
The next lucky young kid come in to don the suit. I know I love this character, and I know that I am not ready to say goodbye. But if it is time for me to say goodbye, then I will do so proudly, knowing that I have achieved everything I wanted to with this character. And
just
sharing it with these
bro.
boys will be forever one of the most special experiences of my career. So if it's time, it's time. If it's not, it's not. But at the moment, I don't know.
Well, we certainly can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah.
And all three of you. And again, congratulations, Andrew, on all your other films this year, which are great. And I'm happy to say I've seen all of them in a theater. They're all different. And all of you are big champions of independent filmmaking, too. So I loved what you said about this felt like an independent film in its own way, even on the scale that it was being produced. And you're all big champions of that throughout your careers. So keep it going. And thanks for joining us here and talking this rare opportunity to see
I could have listened
together.
to
This is so exciting.
30
Thanks,
more
guys.
minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Oh, I could have listened to 30 more minutes of that. Maybe even an hour. Listen, that was so cool. And the best part about that, though, was just seeing their consistent smiles all throughout. Like, when Tom was talking, Tobey and Andrew, they were smiling. When Tobey was talking, Tom and Andrew were like this. When Andrew was talking, you're getting these beautiful answers, and Tom and Tobey, they understand they're in the presence of, and I believe Andrew is one of the best actors in the business right now. Absolutely. So there's that mutual respect for each other that you can see not only in the movie, because that's very evident, but you can also see here. And I love that. And they're like the Spider Bros, and I'm sure they talk, not very often, but I'm sure they talk and they feel comfortable with each other. And you heard that there. And I love the fact that John Watts and Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal, they were able to make them feel that comfort, and knowing that they were in a movie that was going to provide something special for fans is really cool. So that was awesome. I mean, that was, for me, obviously, it's the movie. This was like the cherry on top. This was getting to hear the fact that they didn't just, like, it's not just a paycheck. I'm sure the paycheck was nice. Okay? I'm sure it was real nice. But it's not just a paycheck film. I always knew Andrew would want to come back and kind of make things right. I always knew Tobey would want to cement his status, just the way this character ends. And I personally don't think that any of them are done yet. I think Andrew's going to come back. I think Tobey's, my guess is that Tobey's going to be in Doctor Strange 2. And I'm almost, positive that Tom's coming back. But like we said, they haven't discussed it yet. So he really probably doesn't know. He says he doesn't know. So I believe him. At this point. But yeah, we know they're all probably coming back. But just the way that this movie was able to be executed and things like that. I could talk for days. I loved this. I want to know what you guys thought, though, down below. What was your reaction as they were talking? Were you smiling? Were you just... And sorry I maybe didn't talk as much, or sorry I talked too much. But this interview is available. You guys can go to Deadline and check it out. Pete did an awesome job. What a gig. What a gig that Pete had. I know I couldn't do it. I'd be too, Tobey and Tom and Andrew. That would be me. But that was great. That was great. It's time to put the Spider-Man talk to rest. Not really. I told you guys last week I'm working on a video specifically about why the Green Goblin, I believe, is one of the greatest villains of all time. If you guys want to see that, and amongst other things, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Drop your thumbs up. Follow me on TikTok for more Spider-Man talk. Spider-Man TikTok. And stay tuned because we've got some great reviews. An Amazon Prime review later today, along with a couple of Netflix reviews this weekend. And then my best and worst of January. I'll see you guys soon.